Okay, perfect. So thank you for being with us, Mr. Ortiz. We're very, very happy to have you. If you wouldn't mind, can you just give a brief introduction, tell us who you are and a little bit about your company?
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. My name is Julio Ortiz, and I am the owner of Gazpachos, which is a small business, family owned, here locally in the Sacramento area. And we are a fruit and juice company that sells not only at the storefront that we have, but we also sell at farmers markets and family festivals, along with corporate catering events.
Great, great. And I read an article, correct me if this article was not accurate, but it said that you started by doing just festivals and events, and that the store that you opened in the last year or two is your first kind of brick and mortar store. Is that correct?
That is correct. We started back about 10 years ago now, actually, when our tester was festivals. We wanted to prove the concept first to understand, to make sure that this was something that the market or people in general was open to, considering that in fact, our name Gazpachos is a dish native of Mexico, and that's where I'm from originally. And it's essentially a cup of fruit that's cut up into smaller pieces. Like, for instance, our traditional, one of our most popular is mango, jicama, and pineapple. We cut into small pieces. We add a little bit of orange juice, lime juice, and chili powder. Spices we bring directly from Mexico as well. You kind of put them all together and enjoy it as a snack. So when we started out, we weren't too sure whether people would be open to that idea. And we started out and slowly, gradually started growing. We went from doing maybe 15 festivals to 45 festivals. And most recently in 2019, because I know last year, obviously pandemic hit, unfortunately things didn't go as planned. But in 2019, we had up to 3 teams on a single weekend. So for instance, I would have someone in San Francisco, San Jose, maybe one in Reno, and we had this store. And the store we opened it, we're going on our 3rd year now here in the Sacramento area. That's our first brick and mortar, and that's kind of how it started out.
Awesome. That's very cool to hear. I wonder if I could ask you a little bit, a couple of marketing questions. So this is a marketing class. I mentioned to you that we have a few students who want to own their own restaurant or maybe a food truck someday. So can you give them some inside scoop and just talk about who your customers are, and were they different when you were only at festivals? Like, what's the difference in your customer bases now that you've got that storefront?
Yeah, absolutely. And to also even be fair, after I kind of was thinking about this interview, I realized maybe I should have brought in. I'm lucky that I have someone that helps me with the marketing side, because one thing of owning or running a business is you start realizing that while you might be all over the place, you cannot do it all effectively, right? And gradually, as you start scaling your business, you realize putting the right people in the right places, it's a lot more impactful than trying to do it all by yourself. So anyways, I'll do my very best, but I'm confident she might not agree with everything that I say. And I know she would have been an amazing person to even answer some questions. But all that to say, we are very tactful in understanding which our channel of delivery and what kind of customers are we trying to get to, right? So for instance, at the store, we are in a very unique geographical location, Hispanic populated. So we got to be aware of that. And, but our concept in essence, to keep it real simple, is anyone looking for a healthier alternative choice, a healthier snack, right? In our area, there's tons of ice cream places. There's tons of jamba juices, right? But unlike them, our product is freshly made in its own site, and we don't add any sugars, so that's a big, differentiator for us. And we strive for our blends. So, for instance, one of our smoothies or your juices, we make them with fresh ingredients and right at to order. We don't freeze anything. Even our breads that we bake, they tend to have a lot less sugar, a lot less salt. So anything that's better for you, that's been sort of our theme, and that's kind of what keeps bringing customers outside, which, interestingly fact, you would think where we are would get a lot of support. And ironically, the majority of our clientele are not within probably at least outside the 10-mile radius. They tend to drive out of their zone to come and check our spot. And in part, again, because we put that healthy concept or that healthy kick to it, along with the chilies that we bring from Mexico, their spices. They're not your typical commercial ones that you find in the store that are high in sodium, those type of things. So that's sort of our, our marketing concept. We try to stay trendy, as my marketing manager always says. Like we want to understand what's trending, what are people looking at. We want to be in their attention. And I'll tell you, this year, I know my marketing support person thought we should start our TikTok. And we started TikTok, and we had a few videos that went viral. We started our Pinterest, something, we're visually oriented, along with the community aspect. As you can see, I'm involved with a couple of boards I don't just sit on the board of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but I also sit on the board with the Franklin Business Association, which is precisely where my business is located. So I get to be a voice for small businesses, not just at the district level, but obviously at a bigger scale with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep, that's really great. You're hitting on some really interesting and not as often talked about marketing strategies, which is get your leader involved, right? Have them have a seat at many tables so that when we're all thinking about food for events we're organizing, you are top of mind. It's really a great strategy, one of many that it sounds like your team is instituting. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about any other social media channels that you used. You mentioned TikTok and Pinterest. Are there others that work well for you?
Absolutely. I mean, very actively and very engaged is Instagram and Facebook. And despite of our follower base, I think one thing that when we started, our strategy was not to necessarily grow the account itself, but we wanted to grow our engagement. We found that it was more valuable for us to have maybe, let's say, 5 followers. And obviously we have a lot more than that. We actually pretty decent amount, but we wanted to say if those 5 followers buy, it means the world to us versus having 100 and then only having 2 buy. So we are very intentional on that concept, on trying to keep that engagement. So we trigger those type of things for people to want to even reshare. That's a big one. We often do giveaways. And on Facebook, obviously, as you know, we study a little bit what kind of, we look at analytics and start realizing, okay, what kind of content we want to put out on Facebook relative to Instagram, that it's a younger crowd perhaps, and TikTok is a little more trendy, also younger, right? Like they want to be cool. So you got to put that little kick to it. And again, we're lucky, despite of our, our marketing manager not being full-time, we're very lucky that we have really, really good engagement, really good partnerships, collaborations with, again, I mentioned we are with farmers markets, and they're constantly sharing our content, constantly sharing our visuals. And I think that's huge. Again, the engagement level is fairly high for us. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, I would say those are the core for us currently.
Great. That's really helpful for us. Can you talk a little bit more about some of your competitors? You talked about Jamba Juice as an alternative, maybe some ice cream shops. Are there other competitors that you have to really, work to get customers to choose you over those other competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, every day you have to constantly remind your customers why they want to shop with you, right? And I try to maximize every angle, and community involvement has been a big one. But when I think of, so there's a few ice cream stores nearby. There's a few and somewhat similar to what we do, but again, they're very, they go deep into the chili powder, stuff like that. For us, we try to keep it very clean, health-minded. And Jamba Juice is another big one. There's a Nectar, another juicery place, phenomenal. They have a cool concept, but it's a franchise. And our concept, we try to ensure that when people come in and shop, they know that they're making an impact. First of all, in fact, I believe one of our in fact, we just hired her. That's why I'm like, I believe, but I don't shouldn't say I don't believe. She's currently at American college, and I have one from Sac State, and I have also a single mom. So we have Sac State graduates. So we got a variety of people. So, when people are intentional about coming our way, they're not just getting, our slogan is greatness in every cup of fruit. So we want to make sure that you go, wow, right? Every time you get it. And we also want you to feel happy and good about what you put in your body. So what's been very interesting for us is that people, whether it might be for the product, or whether it might be for some people, is like, I want to support local and I want to come in and put my dollars here. Some people is the spices, right? That we have chile negro, which is this smokier type that we bring from Mexico, and they absolutely use it in food now, not just some fruits. And so when I think about our core, people can see through genuinely who we are and why we do what we do. And I think they generally, that's why support us, even though where we are, again, I think it's a big factor. My competitors tend to be on commercial areas where people might go to a bigger store, right? Like a Safeway, and there's a Jamba Juice, or maybe, hey, let me go buy my groceries, and while I'm at it, let me go get a Jamba Juice, right? With us, I don't really have a lot of that. I have a few other tenants or retailers next to me, but nothing significant, meaning the people that come into our store come in because they want to come in and because they're coming for us, not because they were running errands and they just decided, oh, let me go get some more. And that's why for us, it's critical to ensure that we are expressive of how appreciative we are of anyone that comes into our doors, or anyone who decides to pick up the phone to do business with us. We certainly do appreciate every single one of them.
Yeah, it's a little more of a challenge, right? You are a destination. We have to decide to come see you. And that's a little challenging, but also a testament to the strength of your brand, right? You're doing so well that people will take a trip, especially to get some snacks from you, some healthy alternative snacks from you. That's great. So I wonder if you could give us an example of a recent marketing initiative or marketing campaign that you have run. Just talk us through maybe how you decided on this campaign or program, and then how you executed, if you could.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the most recent one is February 14. It's a big one. Yeah. Obviously, we also sell strawberries with chocolate, right? Or infused strawberries with chili chamoy, what have you. So we get creative with that. And we tend to partner with a florist. So let's say we might do some sort of package, right? Package 1, 2, 3. And what we do is we tend to, the planning, I mean, we did this last year. So, one thing that I'm realizing is you make mistakes, but you get a little better as time progresses. So this year, obviously, we revisited immediately in December. We're normally 3 months advance. We tend to start planning like, hey, what's going to be our packaging? Because we got to take pictures. We got to make sure that we prepared for it. And along with my marketing manager, what we do is we start to lay out the timelines is, hey, by this day, we need the pictures, what's the pricing, and how are we going to get to whoever we might be targeting, right? So in this case, Facebook, Instagram, or email marketing. We also do texting through our POS systems that we use. And so we say, what kind of offer do we want to do and pre-order by when? So all that tends to be clear. We held a meeting normally maybe a month before with the team, the entire team, to let them know, hey, this year we're going to do this. So they're also in the know. They're still promoting with people that are coming in. And then our marketing managers ensures that answers all questions on different channels, Instagram, Facebook. And then what we do is make it very easy for people to be able to pay online, right? So we try to ensure that the packages are built in with our POS system. So when they just click, they're able to pay for it. And so we have normally either myself or someone else will build the infrastructure to say, maybe this year we want to deliver in our again, we learned this year, for instance, we were only going out up to 12 miles from our place, and it was complimentary delivery. And like before, we done as far as 30 miles, but from our region, 30 miles can be as far as Lodi. I mean, it's really, so we've learned a lesson that people would actually buy, but we're like, well, we can't go that far because with the team that we have, We got to be able to understand. And then we put a cap also. We say, hey, our target is to maybe receive 100 orders within the first week. And then you put a cap. We do partner with Bloomnet, who owns Edible Arrangements and Sherry's Berries, that type of thing. So we also fulfill their orders and distribute them. So we try to balance between the both our own and then theirs, and try to max that space. We know how much we can do year over year. We look at how much we did last year, and bare minimum, we're seeking 10 to 20% growth with the same team. Obviously, keep in mind that engagement of the team is critical. And if we happen to be a little bit down, knowing the team, what triggers their excitement, their willingness to participate and do. And so anyways, with this recent campaign, we started out about, again, 30 days in advance, probably within 2 weeks in, we're halfway through the goal. And we felt that we could have done a little better. So what I did is I ramped up our first time this year. We decided to do Google ads, something new to us. And we added some money in there, and it paid off fairly well. It's something that we didn't explore in the past. So we didn't just explore Facebook and Instagram or Yelp. Actually, we also used Yelp last year. This year, we chose not to use Yelp. We rather decided to explore Google to see if we would get better results. And turned out it worked out fairly well for us with the investment that we put in. And we we ended up extending our deadlines because the demand, as you know, most people tend to be a little bit of procrastinators. So we offer an incentive for people to order early, right? Not only it's priority and secure their spot, but those that wait last minute, we also know about, the price of waiting last minute. We up the price a little bit and they still go for it. And we also we know there's always at least 1 or 2 people that wait last minute. And so we tend to have that reactive shopping available, even though it's not our priority. We want to have it available in the event. This year, it landed on a Sunday. We open only for pickups for people that wanted to pick it up. So we give them that option. We can take it to you complimentary, or you can come get it and you can deliver it yourself, or your mom, what have you, or your girlfriend. And this year we exceeded our expectations. It worked very, very well. And right now we're already we're preparing for Mother's Day weekend, which is going to be another big seller for us coming up.
Exciting. Very cool. Thank you for mentioning the changes that you implemented, because that's something we think about a lot in marketing, right? Testing one platform like a Yelp advertising campaign 1 year, switching over to Google and figuring out which is better. It's a great concept for us to be learning from you about. So I'm going to ask you our last question, Julio. If you could speak to the students in the class, what advice would you have for them if they're interested in owning their own restaurant or opening their own business?
Yeah, certainly there's no secret recipe for to do something in life. I think certainly if that's something that I aspire to do, I strongly encourage them. Number one is extremely rewarding. And it's very fulfilling when you're going through the journey. If it's something that you're passionate about, it's something that you love. It certainly, like most people would say, is extremely challenging. But I think if I always say 3 things that are important to me, right? Always understanding where you're heading, like you having those goals, whether it might be monthly or weekly. My brother happens to be one of the operations managers. And every Monday we meet and I ask him, what's your goal this week, right? Doesn't have to be to the T. I don't write it. It's fine. I just need to know where you're heading. I need a sense of direction. So gotta have goals. Number 2, gotta have a mentor too. Despite of where you are, some of us are maybe a little ahead, but we could always benefit from having someone that can provide that insight, that guidance, that maybe already done it or has some sort of knowledge on the area that you're trying to accomplish. And thirdly is understand that your attitude is the only thing you can control, right? Like, for instance, we didn't know about the pandemic last year. I think if you were to talk to me in January, I have my revenue was, and even though we were on track to triple the revenue, obviously that completely stopped us from doing that, right? So we quickly had to decide, sit or get depressed, or rather say, okay, how do we adjust? How do we modify? How do we start embracing this, right? And, probably I can say we've been able to expand it. We just hired another team member. We expanded on the farmers market here locally. And we are coming to expand a sister company. In fact, right next to Gazpachos, we're going to have a flower shop fairly soon, in the next probably a couple of months. So yeah, I encourage them all to push their limits, understand what they're really good at. That's another thing that's helped me, at least for me. I'm terrible at certain things, but those 2-3 things that I'm really good at, I try to stay in that space and dominate it. I mentioned marketing. At some point, you realize you cannot be HR, you cannot be IT, you cannot be HR. At the beginning, you have to do it all. That's the truth, right? With that good attitude, you get it done. But at some point, you realize, oh my God, I really need some help, and then you gotta find people that enjoys doing those areas. And I think it just helps you grow. The growth, you start seeing it when you start doing that type of leveraging people, the talent of people, and the talent of the teamwork that you have. So.
Awesome. That's a great way to end. I feel like you have hit on some really important topics for our class. What I love that seems to be an underlying theme of your leadership style is you care about your people. We don't talk about that. We usually talk about marketing, but you can sense it in the way that you're describing your incredible team, the people you've surrounded yourself with, your family, and all of those who help make your company run. So we're all excited. I haven't been to your storefront. I'll have to come check it out. I'm sure my students will too. But thank you very much for taking time with us, and I'll send you a little note when it's posted so you can take a look.
That'd be great. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you. Have a great day. Very nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.